Are the Seattle Seahawks about to flip the script on the entire National Football League with a shocking double move in the backfield? Explosive rumors suggest Seattle could be adding not one, but two dynamic running backs in a massive trade that would instantly transform their offense. Some believe this would create unmatched versatility and overwhelm defenses every snap, while others question how the team would manage touches and roster balance.
If this bold move becomes reality, the rest of the league might not be ready for what's coming. All right, so imagine waking up to one of those alerts that instantly makes you double-check your phone because it feels too wild to be real. That's exactly what just happened with the Seattle Seahawks pulling off a move that nobody saw coming. And honestly, it's the kind of trade that can completely shift the balance of power in the NFL overnight. Because this isn't just about adding depth. This isn't just about a minor roster tweak. The Seahawks just added two running backs in one aggressive move, and now the entire league is trying to figure out what this team is about to become.
And here's the thing. When you look at Seattle over the last couple of seasons, one thing has always been clear. They've had flashes of explosiveness. They've had moments where the offense looks unstoppable, but consistency has always been the missing piece.
And that's exactly why this move is so dangerous.
Because instead of hoping one guy carries the load, they've now built a backfield that could become one of the most versatile and unpredictable units in football. So let's break this down like a real insider story, because there's layers to this trade that go way deeper than just adding two names to a roster.
First of all, the timing is everything. Teams don't just make moves like this for fun, especially not at this stage, when front offices are already thinking about playoff positioning, long-term contracts, and building momentum toward a championship push.
This kind of move screams urgency. It tells you that the Seahawks front office believes they are right on the edge of something big, like they're one or two pieces away from turning into a serious contender. And instead of waiting, they decided to attack the market and get ahead of everyone else. Now let's talk about what adding two running backs actually means in today's NFL. This isn't the old-school era where you rely on one bell cow back to handle 25 carries a game. The modern league is all about versatility, mismatches, and keeping defenses guessing. By bringing in two different skill sets, the Seahawks are basically building a system where they can adjust their entire offensive identity week to week, or even drive to drive. One back can be your power runner, grinding down defenses, controlling the clock, wearing out defensive lines. The other can be your explosive playmaker, the guy who turns a simple outside run into a 40-yard gain or catches a pass out of the backfield and breaks it wide open. And when you combine those styles, you create a nightmare scenario for defensive coordinators. Because now they can't just prepare for one type of attack. They have to account for everything. And that's where things get really scary for the rest of the NFL. Because Seattle already had weapons. They already had a passing game that can stretch the field, receivers who can win one-on-one matchups, and a system that thrives when the defense is off balance. Now you add a dynamic, multi-layered running game on top of that? That's how you create an offense that can control tempo, dominate possession, and still hit you with explosive plays at any moment. And let's be honest, defenses hate that. They hate not knowing what's coming next. They hate when an offense can line up in the same formation and run completely different plays with equal effectiveness. And that's exactly what this trade is setting up. But there's another angle here that people aren't talking about enough. Competition. When you bring in not one but two new running backs, you're sending a message to the entire locker room. Nothing is guaranteed. Every snap, every carry, every opportunity has to be earned. And that kind of internal competition can elevate an entire team.
Because now practices get more intense. Players push harder. Everyone knows they have to prove themselves every single day. And that energy translates directly onto the field.
We've seen it happen before with teams that suddenly catch fire late in the season. It's not always about talent. Sometimes it's about urgency and hunger.
And this move injects both into the Seahawks roster.
Now, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture.
The NFC has been wide open in recent years. There hasn't been that one unstoppable dynasty dominating every season. Instead, it's been a mix of teams rising and falling, trying to grab control. And moves like this are exactly how you separate yourself from the pack. Because while other teams are playing it safe, making small adjustments, the Seahawks just made a statement. They're not waiting. They're not hoping things fall into place. They're going after it. And that kind of mindset can be contagious. It can change how players approach games, how coaches call plays, how the entire organization views its potential.
And here's something else that makes this trade even more interesting.
Depth wins championships. It sounds simple, but it's one of the biggest truths in football.
Injuries happen, slumps happen, and the teams that survive those moments are the ones with options.
By adding 2 running backs, the Seahawks aren't just improving their starting lineup, they're building insurance. They're making sure that no matter what happens, they have the pieces to keep their offense moving. And in a long, physical NFL season, that can make all the difference. Now, let's talk about the reaction around the league. Because you know front offices are watching this closely. You know defensive coordinators are already going back to the film, trying to figure out how to prepare for this new-look Seattle offense. And you know other teams are starting to feel a little pressure. Because when one team makes a bold move, it forces everyone else to respond. It creates a ripple effect. Suddenly, teams that were comfortable with their roster might start questioning if they've done enough. Coaches might start rethinking their game plans. And that's how one trade can shift the entire landscape of the league. But here's the real question. Will it work? Because on paper, this looks like a brilliant move. It adds talent, depth, versatility, and competition. It addresses one of the most important aspects of modern offense. And it gives the Seahawks multiple ways to win games. But football isn't played on paper. It's played on the field, where chemistry matters, timing matters, and execution matters. These 2 running backs have to learn the system, build trust with the offensive line, understand the rhythm of the offense. And that doesn't happen overnight. So there will be a period of adjustment. There will be moments where things don't click right away. But if they can get through that phase and find their groove, that's when things could get really dangerous. Because once everything starts to sync up, once the playbook opens up, once the coaches fully trust what they have, this offense could become one of the most unpredictable units in the NFL. And unpredictability is power. It forces defenses into mistakes. It creates opportunities. It turns close games into wins, and wins into momentum.